Oh, welcome to Drobotics. I'm your host, Drobot. I'm going to talk to you today about oscillators. When we were last time I saw you, we were talking about, how sound designers are a lot like a sculptor. And a sculptor carves things from marble and limestone and wood. Sound designer uses oscillators instead. Oscillators are just come in the same kinds of textures, I'll call it, to give the sound character. And those oscillators are how I have them labeled here: sine wave, a triangle wave, a square wave, a saw wave, a pulse wave. So here we go: sine, triangle, square, saw. Pulse wave looks weird, but you'll see why in a minute. So the sine wave. In order to look at these, get a good look at these oscillators, we're going to look at it in two different levels. We're going to take a look at on the frequency analyzer, which is going to show us the different frequencies that are resonating, and you'll see those frequencies on the x-axis, and then you'll see how amplified those frequencies are on the y-axis. Okay, now this one over here is I don't know what to call this. This is just an audio sample that will show you how your speaker is moving. This is like if you were to look over the top of your speaker, you would see in the little hole that speaker bouncing back and forth. And that speaker bouncing back and forth is making those sounds that you hear. This is a mapping of where that speaker is and what it's doing. Okay? More or less. So here we go. Let's look at a sine wave. Sine wave is just shooting out. Sine wave is just shooting out one frequency. There was that one fundamental frequency that was shooting out. Triangle waves. So a sine wave is the purest sound, and it's good for kind of like fluty sounds and airy sounds. Okay, so triangle wave, in a very similar way, uses for flutes and airy sounds. So here we go. This is the triangle wave. Now, there's that one fundamental frequency, and then these are the partials that come after it. You'll see that there was one at about like 400, one about 600, and 1000. Now, if we go to a square wave, which looks like this, you're seeing a lot more frequencies coming out. You're seeing the fundamental here. Seeing the fundamental, and then you're seeing 400, 600, and you're seeing then that they're much higher than with the triangle wave. And actually that's the bigger difference, is the amplitude of the partials after the fundamental frequency. Moving to, and a square wave is good for kind of hollow sounds. Think of them as like a wood, any instrument with wood, like a fiddle, a violin, because a saw wave is hollow. It's got not as many frequencies as a saw wave, and so therefore it's hollow. Okay, we're beating a dead horse here. Okay, so here we go. Saw waves. Looks like a saw, and different frequencies coming out here. There's the first frequency, the fundamental, and then we have one here at like 300, 400, 500, 600. So there's a lot more frequencies in this specific oscillator. It's a really rich sound. It's for kind of like brassy, something really rich. And that doesn't mean it's the best oscillator. It just means that it has a lot of frequencies that can be shaved out of it with the filter. Now, the next oscillator we're going to talk about is the pulse oscillator. Pulse oscillator is like a square wave, like this one. But what you're doing is you're changing the pulse width, you're modulating the pulse width here. So imagine this middle part shifting over here, it'd be a lot smaller. And then if it moved all the way over here, it'd actually be bigger. So what you're doing is you're changing the pulse width modulation, and it looks like this. It sounds like this too. Pretty wild stuff, right? That's pulse width modulation. And that is moving the frequencies here, and it's changing the duty cycle here. Okay? Vroom. So that is all we're going to talk about with oscillators. I'm done.